Hey, what's up, YouTube? Brett and Bordy here, back with another New World video. Today, we're going to go through the top 5 things to consider while building out your character in New World, Bordy. So these are rapid fire, but again, I think these are the top 5 things you need to be looking at every time you make a decision with your build. Bordy, take it away with the first.
Yeah, so I think the first one is to use a complementary weapon pairing. So by that, we mean make sure that you're using a weapon on your front bar and your back bar that complement one another. So a great example of this, Red, would be if you are running some sort of mage weapon like a fire staff as your front bar weapon. A good pairing with that would probably be something like the rapier on the back bar for just simply the mobility and the kiting that it has, along with the secondary attribute scaling off of intelligence. Another example would be using like the sword and board if you're going for a tank build. Use the sword and board and then something on the back bar like a warhammer that has a lot of utility for your team whenever you're running expeditions. So just be cognizant of the weapon pairings that you have and make sure that they synergize well with one another.
The second one, Bordy, is optimizing your attribute threshold bonuses. One of the more popular ones to take is, for example, your 50 in dex to get that 5% extra crit. You also want to make sure you're pushing up to 300 on strength to get the grit on your attacks. There's a bunch of different things that you definitely want to hit. Focus 150, you get the increased healing. You just want to make sure that when you're building a build for a certain type of purpose, that you're utilizing those attribute threshold bonuses because they're very powerful and very important within your builds.
Yes, absolutely. The third one we want to talk about here are the armor affixes. So the gear affixes in general. So the gear affixes, you can find a full list over at newworldfans.com for these affixes. So for example, if you're going to full DPS build, you may want to use something like armor of the soldier, which gives you primary attribute of strength. That's just going to boost your strength on up to that higher threshold level like Red just talked about in the attributes. Or if you're going to go something like a full-on DPS mage, you would want to use armor of the scholar to boost up your intelligence, and so on and so forth. Or a tank, you'd want to use like armor of the sentry to boost your constitution. And if you're going for sort of a hybrid build, like some sort of barbarian build, then you could use like armor of the barbarian, for example, that is strength and constitution. So just be cognizant of which armor you're wanting to wear, and the affixes are going to tell you which attributes are going to be on that type of armor.
Yes, number 4, and this is the same vein, is using the correct food and consumables for your build. Now, there is a food for each primary attribute type, so you want to make sure that you're using those. And again, guys, when you're creating a build in mind, especially an in-game build, you're going to want to think about the stats you get off of your food and armor before you put in those, those stats from your attribute points, to making sure, again, you're hitting your right thresholds and you're not overcapping yourself on a particular thing while leaving you short in another category. Bordy, so take it away with the 5th and final point.
Yeah. So the 5th one is to use the right gem for the job. So by that means slotting the correct gem for the situation that you're in. So for example, like we talked about earlier with the mage and the back bar using a rapier, a good gem to slot there if you're going for damage would be like an amber. So you can get the arboreal effect on your rapier, which just scales your damage now off of focus, or scales a percentage off of nature. So just be cognizant of which gem you have slotted for what you're trying to accomplish. Also, like a carnelian gem is another very important example. If you're trying to tank and you're trying to draw aggro, you have to have a carnelian gem slotted, or else those abilities that you use to taunt your enemies is not going to work. So you have to have that gem slotted. So just be aware of what gem you want to use for which situation. You can use an execute gem to make your executes a lot stronger if you're trying to finish off enemies in PvE or PvP. And there's a long list of those to choose from. We actually have a video out that goes through all of the gem effects for your armor and weapons, so make sure you go check that out if you're unsure what gems do what.
And of course, it's important to mitigate, when you're going into a DPS situation in expeditions, you want to be equipping the correct gem against those mob types. And then in PvP, you definitely want to be paying attention to the meta and speccing your armor against a certain type of damage, whether it be physical or elemental damage.
Yeah, all right. Great point, man.
All right, dude. Well, that about does it for this video. We wanted to give you a nice quick list here of things you want to be considering while you're building out your character. Speaking of building, go over to New World Fans. There's a builder over there that you can put up your builds. We have a weekly segment now. Each Wednesday, we're doing builds of the week. So if you go over there and create your build on New World Fans and it gets upvoted up to the top, we will be covering it on one of our weekly episodes there. So don't forget to do that. Special thanks to our Patreon. All of you make this possible. Thank you guys so much for your support. You'll see your guys' names in the video after the video. And yeah, don't forget to hit the subscription button, the notification bell for more New World content like this. And we'll see you in the next video.